don't know if you feel the same way. I kind of thought that Marcus Smart was older than 31.
Yes.
I was like looking into this and being like, I don't know how much he has left, like to give to the Lakers. And he's like 34, right? No, dude, he's 31. He's 31. And so like, I think when he says that he has a lot more to give and that he has more left in the tank, I kind of buy it. Like, I feel like Marcus Smart is one of those like low key guys who are still in their prime.
I think it's just because he's played the entire last decade like he was in Mad Max Fury Road or something like that. Like it feels like the miles add up when you play the way he does. It's also I have this very distinct memory of, it was when Brad Stevens was still coaching the Celtics and they were playing the Knicks at the Garden and they were like dealing with Porzingis and having a hard time because turns out 7'3" guys are hard to guard. And Smart was just like, I got him. And he just went like got in his knees and at his hips and was like, Porzingis couldn't move him or get rid of him and move him around. And then like the Celtics came back and won that game. And you're like, all right, that's the guy you throw at every problem 100 miles an hour, like as hard as he can possibly go. And he solves it. And that's like who he's been. But yeah, over a long enough period of time, it feels like that guy has just been here forever and maybe is like in his early 40s, not 31. So yeah, like it's not outside the realm of possibility that Marcus Smart, after two pretty rough years where he picked up some unfortunate injuries and was on teams that were dealing with many problems, like winds up back in a competitive context in LA alongside Luka Doncic and LeBron James on a team expected to contend and like finds himself rejuvenated. It wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world for a 31-year-old to have a second act in his career.
Yeah, he feels a lot older to me. And that, like you said, when we're talking about a guy who played 34 games last year, dealing with a lot of injuries with Memphis and, of course, with the Washington Wizards, I feel like this is a really good flyer for the Lakers. They needed a point of attack defender, a guy who's versatile enough to like guard 1 through 5. And Marcus Smart, if he's healthy, and that's a big if.
Sure.
I'm excited to see if he's going to go with the yellow, like, or purple hair. If he's in the gold or purple and gold, like I'm curious to see if he goes there. Harkening back to a Dennis Rodman, I feel like when you're talking about Marcus Smart, he can't be that crash test dummy anymore, right? Like at this age, he's going to be a little bit less inclined to go die on the floor and take those charges, right? But like he's still smart enough and strong enough to be a really plus defender. According to estimated plus minus, defensive estimated plus minus, he was plus 1.4 every 100 possessions. Defender, one of the highest marks of any player in the NBA defensively. But of course, it's just coming down to how many minutes can he play like that? And I think what's also interesting here is that I feel like they're just trolling us at this point, the Lakers or Luka, that he was like, yeah, Luka was calling me, not just once, but you know, he was hitting that speed dial another time to try to get me to come over to the Lakers. Where's LeBron in this? Where like this whole Luka is now driving this bus, continuingly to hammer this home is that this is Luka's team and Marcus Smart is here for it. It feels nice to be courted by Luka Doncic. I did not see this storyline coming, but here we are in late July. Not only is Marcus Smart being recruited to the Lakers and happy about it, but LeBron is nowhere to be seen in this story.
I mean, I saw LeBron recently. He was, I think, rapping along to "Not Like Us" Instagram video. So, like, I mean, he's not nowhere. He's just maybe not involved in the recruiting aspect of things in the way that he has been at times in the past. I mean, if you're a Lakers fan, this has to make you feel pretty good about the prospects of Luka eventually in the next couple of weeks or so, you know, when he becomes eligible to ink that extension, commit himself to the Lakers for the long term. Like if he's actively engaged in the recruiting efforts on who he wants to have on the roster, telling you what kind of big man he wants to play with and you go get him, you know, making public, you know, positive public comments about, you know, the new ownership situation, yada, yada. Like all of these things seem like positive momentum toward. Maybe it doesn't come right away because you know, he's supposed to be going to, I think, with Slovenia for Eurobasket, like there will be opportunities maybe for him a little bit later to ink the deal, but like moving in the direction of we're all on the same page for the next few years, or most of us, and then LeBron can be there if he wants to be, or he can be someplace else. But if LeBron is there next season, which at this point, given that he opted into his contract and Rich Paul had said he does not, there's been no, trade requests. There's been no other, communication in that regard where he's trying to get out of town. The Lakers are, at the end of last season, they needed two things in really big ways. They needed more point of attack help defensively on the perimeter, and they needed a taller guy who could play center because they didn't really have much of that at the end of the season.
Did they ever have Brook Lopez or Alex Caruso? I just kind of forget, like a point of attack guy and
or
a guy
who Zubats. Yeah. There was a few guys that have come through LA that have been helpful and useful, and then but it's Taylor Horton Tucker. We were all excited about that. Maybe not as excited as the Lakers were, I guess, when they chose him over Alex Caruso, but neither here nor there. Listen, water under the bridge and bygones and whatever.
You get a 31-year-old Marcus Smart, like that's, it all comes full circle here. I look at this Marcus Smart situation and I'm like, hey, Marcus Smart at $30 million a year, not great, but Marcus Smart at $5 million.
Sure.
Now that's a good value add for your team. And this kind of goes along with what is happening across the league is, Bradley Beal and the stigma of being like a no trade clause max guy. It's erased now because now he's got this new deal with the Clippers and he can start fresh and rehabilitating his image. Same way with DeAndre Ayton, same way with Marcus Smart, same thing with, to a lesser extent, Jordan Clarkson, but the Knicks are getting Jordan Clarkson away from whatever was happening in Utah over the last couple of years and bringing him into a winning situation where at age 33, I think he still has a little bit left in the tank. So I want to ask you, along with Damian Lillard, who was waived, bought out by the Milwaukee Bucks and is now with the Blazers, of those five, Marcus Smart, Bradley Beal, DeAndre Ayton, Jordan Clarkson, and Damian Lillard, which new situation of these buyout guys who are veterans that are now with a new team, which one are you most excited about with their new club?
Well, first off, Jordan Clarkson being 2 years older than Marcus Smart, I would never have guessed that in a million years. I just assumed he was younger. I don't know. Also, maybe it's like the difference between a sober-minded defensive first guard and a guy who's just shooting every time he gets the ball. Maybe that you think one guy's older than the other guy. I don't know. One's a young man's behavior and the other isn't. To me, I think it's Ayton, right? We should start the Dame question. I think has to go to the side because he's not playing this year. Or I would be extraordinarily surprised if he got back in time to play this season after rupturing the Achilles during the playoffs. All things seem to be pointing toward there's a full year to figure out what Scoot Henderson and Shaedon Sharpe and Drew Holiday, how everything coalesces there before Dame even gets back into the picture. So I'm bullish on that just in a overarching, I think it's probably good for the organization. But in terms of on-court fit, we had a year to hit the snooze button on that. With Ayton, he's the only guy on that list that's not 30 plus, right? He's a 27-year-old who doesn't have the significant injury history.
Wait. Birthday wishes are in order for DeAndre Ayton.
You
said 27. Right. This is breaking news. He's 27.
And DeAndre Ayton, happy birthday. What we're giving you is a segment on our show where we talk about how we're bullish on you. Or I shouldn't say we. I don't know. I don't want to presume. I'm bullish on your
I watched a lot of DeAndre Ayton last year. I watched a lot of it. I have some thoughts on what he can bring to the Lakers, but
if I remember right, maybe one of the first guys we talked about doing the big number when we talked about theoretical stretch fives or fake stretch fives back in the preseason.
Didn't work out. Didn't do this little stretchy fives. At the top of the key, I think a lot better than in the corners. But as you were saying about dominating.
Okay, we might have to. All right, I feel less good about it now that we brought up his nickname. But clear, glaring need, right? But by the end of the playoffs last year, JJ Redick did not trust any of the big men that they had. Didn't trust Jackson Hayes. Was playing small ball, only five guys. DeAndre Ayton clearly fills a need for a 7-footer who can run and chew gum at the same time, defend, finish around the basket. He's going for, with all due respect to what the Blazers have been putting on the floor the last couple of seasons, not playing with any real high-level playmakers, to playing with Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves, which I think the last time we saw him with high-level guard play, he was actually a really efficient pick-and-roll finisher, 1.2 points per possession, 65% field goal percentages the last 3 seasons in Phoenix, according to Synergy. If you look at all the pick-and-roll finishing there, He doesn't look like much of a lob threat, or you don't think of him as a lob threat, but he finished like 73 alley-oops last couple years in Portland, again, without super high-level consistent guard play. I think that has a really good chance to play up as long as he's healthy and, if he commits himself to screening and diving. There's like a role that needs filling. He has the tools and the physicality to be able to do it. He's not coming off of a major injury. He's not going into a bench role. Like Beal, I don't know exactly what his role is going to be. Clarkson is going to go into the Knicks bench. Dame is not going to play next year. Smart's role is going to be more defense first, probably lower offensive usage. Like Ayton looks like he's going into a real big role as the starting center of the Los Angeles Lakers. Like that feels to me like the biggest opportunity to succeed of any of these five guys.
Yeah, certainly the highest ceiling, I feel like, is DA playing. And that's if you prefer a nickname for DeAndre Ayton that isn't Dominating, you can go with DA because that's how we all called him over the last couple of years. So DA is someone that if he's motivated and he's running up and down the floor and he's setting hard screens, he's an upper echelon starting center in the NBA. It's just how often can you get that? And with a team that was in a rebuild situation where he was the number one guy, the highest paid player on the roster last season, I think you're going to see a different DA in the Lakers where it's a different mindset. It's a different star structure where Luka Doncic and LeBron James are your teammates. JJ Redick is your head coach. Like there's a vibe around this Lakers team than you would have when DA is the highest paid player on your team, and different leadership responsibilities with DeAndre Ayton last year versus this upcoming season, and how much he's going to be making, and the burden of being that leader, I think is going to be lifted on this Lakers team. So the pecking order is much more like where it was when they went to the NBA Finals with Phoenix and Chris Paul and Devin Booker, where he was just asked to be a hard screening, rim running, rim protector for Chris Paul and Devin Booker, and they went to the NBA Finals with it. There's a version of that DA that can really help the Lakers this upcoming season. And Marcus Smart, with the injury questions and the fact that it feels like he's 35, not 31, I feel like the ceiling on him is a little bit lower than DA. And you're right. Is that mid-range jumper? It's not just the rim running. It's that mid-range jumper that is really good offense in a pinch for a team that I think with LeBron and Luka, you're going to probably want to have a little off-speed pitch in there in terms of scoring, and DA can provide that. So yeah, I think Bradley Beal, in terms of the median outcome, I'm actually more bullish on Bradley Beal. I think DA can be like a big ceiling, high ceiling player, high risk, high reward. But I do see that Bradley Beal probably has, in terms of the median output, I feel best about Bradley Beal on the Clippers. But we'll see. We'll see what happens here going forward on all of these situations. Very fluid. I could see Jordan Clarkson having a bigger role on the Knicks than as constituted right now because of all those miles on the tires. And offensively, they're going to need that with Mike Brown taking over as head coach, playing up and down, three-point shooting, a guy who's just a more dynamic scorer than Marcus Smart is. I could see Jordan Clarkson just like, oh, wait, did he just drop 30 for the New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden against the New Orleans Pelicans last night? Yeah, I could see that happening with Clarkson. Ultimately, though, long-term, all these situations just feel like these are make good kind of contract years for these guys. Like they want to rehabilitate their reputation around the league, their trade value or their contract value. And I think as a feel-good story, Damian Lillard is far and away the best situation here, and that I'm really excited to be watching next year. But DA is such a wild card that I don't know what to expect with the Lakers. I don't, but I agree with you that if things go right with DA and catching lobs from Luka and being the rim protector that they need, they certainly have a larger void there at his position than any of the other candidates we're talking about.
Yeah, the sort of smallest of all possible numbers, I guess, it's because it's an hour in the C block, is we'll go with 8.1. That's how many $1 million DeAndre Ayton is making this year and how much he's got a player option for in 26-27. this is the chance, like you're coming out of your age 27 season into your age 28 season. This is your athletic prime. This is the prime earning years for a guy who was just on a max and is now making $8 million. Like if you like the opportunity is in front of you. Luka Doncic is about to be the face of the Lakers for the next, handful of years. And he's looking for a guy to run with. This is the tryout. Be good enough this year to have them want to pay you to keep doing this with Luka for the next half decade, or to make somebody else come off the top rope with a deal that will dramatically increase that 8.1. And so, I mean, this is the opportunity that's in front of him. It's in front of the Lakers. And now we got to see if they can make the most out of it.